again, I want to emphasize something here, and that is that this is not Doulos, and that we are not creating something here, and that we came alongside. And I can still remember meeting with Pastor Gordon 12 years ago for the very first time. I was introduced to him, and a matter of fact, he had me come out to the camp and share the Bible study that week. And that was the first time I got a chance to meet some of the people from his church. And from there began a journey where we've not only become good friends, but we've also grown to be able to appreciate each other's heart, and also to be able to understand the heart that both him and his wife have, especially for the youth and the kids in the community. And I can still remember sitting down with you and saying to you one time, so have you ever thought of doing a youth camp? And he said, yes. And then he looked at me and he said, wait. And then we had breakfast. The next thing I knew, we had breakfast with himself and Mary Jane and two of the elders in the church. And he said, let's talk about this. And so we dreamed. That first time, that's all we did, we dreamed. And we talked about the fact that when could we hold it, when could it take place, could I bring a volunteer team up there, could it meet with, could we do this, etc., etc. And we talked about it and the whole thing, and he said, well, how many kids do you think you can handle? And I said, how many can we hold? Like, how many can we have at the camp? And so he said to me, well, would 10 be okay? How about 12? And I said, I think we can handle that. And so we agreed that even if 10 or 12 kids only wanted to come out, we'd hold this camp. And that first year we had over 20, like 23, 25, something like that. And but the day before we had 2. And Gordon told me, don't be discouraged, don't be discouraged, they'll come, they'll come. And then the next thing he says to me, he says, but don't be discouraged if they only stay till Wednesday. And he said, it's very typical for our kids, he said. They'll only stay for a few days and then they'll leave. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, we won't be discouraged. Well, they all stayed right till the end of the week. As a matter of fact, the final night when they were all supposed to go home, I think it was almost 12 of them said, no, we're staying because you guys aren't leaving until the next morning. We're staying too. And then the next year we had full camp, like 36, and this year we had 53. And I just want you to be able to appreciate something. That's Pastor Gordon's vision. And that's one of the reasons why I asked him if he could come tonight. And I asked him, I asked another very good friend of mine, Dennis, and his wife Gloria, if they could come as well. And you're going to get a chance to be able to hear firsthand from them about the partnership that we have with them. But the one thing I'm always emphasizing to Gordon, Pastor Gordon, is this. You own this. They own it. We don't. They own it. It's theirs. And that the only thing that we have done is come alongside to be able to help see it become what it needs to be. But they own it. And so I've asked Pastor Gordon to be able to come down and be able to share this with us, and that because I thought you need to hear it from the person who has lived there all of his life. You need to hear it from the person who has that burning passion for both the youth and the kids in his community. And you need to be able to hear it from him to be able to appreciate exactly what God is doing in Mistissini and beyond, because that's part of our vision. Pastor Gordon, please.
Well, thank you for inviting me here to express my appreciation and also the help that I got from you guys and Paul. And it all started when my former pastor, he's still there, Larry Linton, he's an American who came to Mistissini about 40 years ago. And he started this Sonrise camp. It wasn't Sonrise camp first. It was just a children's camp, they call it. You know what he used to do? He used to, first time he had the camp, we had it across our hometown. There's a little river there, and it was just across. And he had a truck. He went, first time he had that camp, he went around, picked up all the kids without asking the parents. And some of those parents lost their children. And all of us, we know our community, we know where our kids are, everybody, and they said, some white guy picked them up, took them across. And that's how it started. And like our elders, we call now our people when we were young, they didn't mind as long as it was a pastor. It was a pastor that's taking care of them. They were there a week. That's how it started. And they were over there for a week, for 4 weeks. Same thing, different age groups each week. And that's how it started. And we bought a land where we right now the Sonrise camp that was sown there. It's called. And also that we built Larry built log cabins out of wood with our people, and we had 4 cabins plus the how do you call that, the living kitchen, a big kitchen dining room. So that's what we had, and that's how I replaced Larry. Like Larry retired because of what happened to his wife, because we had to help him out. As he had Parkinson's disease, wife, and we had to take care of him. We asked Larry. One thing I know that Larry is really, I could say really a model to me. Like what he did was, his wife. They asked Larry if they could take him to the hospital where they could take care of him. He said, Larry said, no, he said, I said, death do us part. And he took care of him. Right till 3 years ago, I think, when Peggy passed away. He had him for 10 years in his home. And it was quite an awesome story, if you want to hear that. It's in Larry's, he's got a web page, and you could see it in the web page what he did. And after that, I was the pastor for, this is my 13th year now as a pastor in Mistissini, my home community. And when you're in a home community, everybody knows who you are, how you lived, and how you've changed. And it's sometimes it's hard. Sometimes a lot of people come to me, and I thought they would criticize me all the time for how I was before. But the thing they always say when they come to me is that, man, you've changed. God did an amazing thing. And I guess you could say, like, even though that they see the change. And when they see the change, each my colleagues and my friends that I used to party with, now they come to me, how do you do it? Of course I tell them about Jesus, and how they could change too. That's another side. That's my story. Anyway, when first time I met Paul, I just checked like something like it was Gord Hudson that introduced me to Paul. Gord Hudson was at our church. He went there and he meted me, and he said, "I want you to meet somebody." His name is Paul. I told him. I never met Paul till that day when he said. So that's when I met Paul, and when he told me about the doing something with the kids, I just like, yes, that's what I want. Because one thing, Larry was good in doing his stuff, his way. Like he did it all. Larry and Peggy, for I don't know how many years, 30 years, did the camp alone. And I was there. I was one of the members. I didn't help. And sometimes we did, yeah, but not the way they did, the way they help us now. And it's amazing And sometimes we say we're to blame sometimes. We blame ourselves because of what Peggy went through. Peggy, I guess, he had to work at home in the evenings, getting their animals. They had animals there, like horses, chicken, and all that to feed and all that in the evening, and go back to the camp 1 month every year. And he did that, and Larry did that, and Peggy did that through all these 30 years. And when I became a pastor and I found out that was very hard, because I was there sometimes with my wife alone, it was very hard. And I always thanked Larry for what he did. And thank God that Paul came along in his big group. I don't know where we would be now without them. And also that I know there's going to be a lot of stories that I could tell. There's one story that just recently we got. It was a 9-year-old, one of the children at the camp. His mother called. Her mother called. And her mother was on the other phone trying to talk to my wife. And he said, "Could I meet you?" So she met her. And you know what happened? He said, this woman, and most of the children that are there, their parents are non-Christians sometimes. They send them over there. And this woman lived with they weren't married yet, common law. And they were drinking. And their 9-year-old daughter was there. A grandmother tried to take her away from that place where they were drinking, and that daughter said, their 9-year-old said, "No, Mom, no, Grandma, I have to stay here to take care of my mom and dad." That 9-year-old. And she was there. And she said that woman said that we had an argument, we fought. Then I went into the room and I cried. I was drunk. And I closed the door and I went in, and her daughter came in, 9-year-old. And he came into the room and he started patting me and back and rubbing me in my back, and he said, "Mom, Jesus loves you." Kids. And the woman said that I couldn't stop crying. And she told me, she said, you know the best person that could help you right now? I couldn't say anything, she said, "Lady, Jesus could love you, could help you," he said. "Jesus could take care of our family." And she said, Sonrise Camp, they tell the Bible and they tell the truth. That's what's going on. A lot of our young people in homes. And the other thing is that woman's mom, the grandmother, was totally against taking her daughter to that camp. And the woman, that grandmother, said that it's no use that if you send her home, you should take her out of there. But that girl says right now to her mother, "I'm going there next year." Back there. And when they told their grandmother, she couldn't say anything, only cry. Because the grandmother is not saved yet too. That's what's happening. Through these kids, through these 9-year-olds, 5-year-olds. I could tell you more stories of women that called, men that called to our home and saying to us, they're the ones that said it's no use having that. But now they're calling us, they're saying to us, keep up the good work. Don't stop what you're doing. From those that were against it, now they're saying, go for it, go. It's a great encouragement to hear that, those people that don't believe, because most of them were like me. They went to residential school. Residential school, you must have heard it. What happened to them? A lot of them were against white people did it, because they're the ones that took us there and told us that not to speak our language. But now I'm saying, as a pastor, thanks to all the white people. They could help us bring back our people. Not bring back our people to ourselves, but bring back our people to a saving God.
Amen.
The one that holds things together, and the whole families together. And thank you for your time, and I hope that you will help Paul. And thank you again for having me here, and God bless you all. God bless you.
There's just one more thing I want to be able to have Gordon here to be able to help emphasize with all of you as well. And that is that in 2 or 3 years from now, we're hoping that there will be enough young leaders raised up within the Cree community that they can run this Sonrise camp by themselves. And then what are you and I doing? Where are we going next?
The other community.
That's right. I've already made him promise that his passion for his people, we're going to keep that going for as long as God gives us strength and the ability to do so. Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Good.
Thank you.